Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to HOI4 as we are playing with the Kingdom of Romania. So two things before we get started here. One of them I'm actually going to talk about at the end of the episode, but I did want to let you guys know. I've gotten quite a few questions about the heavy tanks, because I mentioned that heavy tanks are crap in this game, and they're just not worth it, and there's so many reasons. I cannot explain. It's ridiculous, like how much better medium tanks are than heavy tanks. Heavy tanks are absolute garbage in the game, and I'll show you guys why, because I had a few people mention it, didn't really understand what I was meaning, because if you look at the stats, then for the most part, heavy tanks look like they're superior, but that is not the case, and I've already gone over this multiple times in other series in the past. It's been a while since we talked about it, but since I had talked about this before, I'll wait to the end of the episode to discuss this. For those of you who care, have never heard about this discussion, then you can listen to it, and those of you who don't can just go ahead and end the episode when I get to that point. The other one, though, is another thing that a couple people have asked about, and it's something I don't think I've gone over, at least not many times. So we'll quickly go over it real quick, and that is the differences between non-aligned and democratic. Why I was saying that non-aligned is probably one of the worst. It is the worst ideology, easily the worst ideology, and there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, as non-aligned, you cannot support your ideology anywhere else. You can't support any ideologies. So if you look at this, when we try and boost party popularity, because we're not aligned, we do not have that as an option. So you basically lose a peaceful option for flipping countries over to your ideology that all the three other ideologies have. You don't have that option as non-aligned. So you can't do that. The second one is non-aligned has a penalty to drift defense, ideological drift defense. So that means that you go up in ideologies faster that aren't non-aligned. So that's why fascism increased so fast. It is a significant increase, guys, or penalty. It's like a 25% increase. So whenever you have anything, increase, and so in this case, instead of going up by 0.10, I believe when you count the fact that the drift defense is lower, I think it's an equivalent to like 12.5. I might be a little bit wrong on how the math exactly works when it comes to the defense, but basically it's a lot higher. So that's the reason why we flipped to fascist so quickly. So that's another penalty to the non-aligned. A third one is that while a lot of the limits here, I think you can hover over this and see it, you can see that a lot of the limits for the world tension limits are actually better than the democratic ones that have lower limits. There is one, and I am comparing this to democratic ideology, because of course the fascist and communist ideologies in the game are the ones with the most freedom for the player, where you have the most freedom to do what you want. So I'm comparing it to the democratic one, because clearly non-aligned is, neither one of these two ideologies are better than the fascist and communist when you want to have control over what you want to do in the game. So if you compare non-aligned to democratic, democratic is worse in all the tension limits but one. When it comes to guaranteeing countries, the democracies require 25% world tension, while non-aligned requires 40%. Obviously, we don't even guarantee that much. It's not that big of a deal, but it is a factor to consider. One thing that non-aligned is worse than democracies in. Of course, an obvious, negative for the non-aligned is that of the three factions, Allies, Axis, and Comintern, none of them are non-aligned. That means that you're going to get a penalty with all three of those for joining their faction. So that's one small thing to consider. And then the last one that I want to mention is probably one of the better things that democracies have over non-aligned, is that they have a special trade opinion increase. And it's pretty high. It's like 50% increase. So that means that they get to trade when you do these trades here. As far as how many resources are available for export for your country, it's always higher for a democracy. Even if they're not trading with a fellow democracy, they always have higher. So they get more resources overall from trade. Now they still get 8 per, per factory. That doesn't change. It's just that there's more resources around the world for you to trade for. So that's one benefit of the democracies. So overall, non-aligned is easily the worst, in my opinion. Worst ideology. It's pretty garbage, but it does have some things that are better than democracies. Mostly these tension limits are much lower, and then you can puppet without having to have the war goal. A democratic country has to have a war goal that tells them they can puppet somebody in order to do that option, I think. And then, obviously you can declare war more and get the war goals and stuff. You don't have to have those special restrictions that democracies have. So there is a bit more freedom when it comes to declaring war for non-aligned. But there's so many penalties, I feel that it's worse, in my opinion. Overall, they're both pretty garbage, though. So I wanted to bring that one up here, since I never talked about that before. So let's go and get started, guys. Let's go ahead and start with the Soviet Union here. What we're going to do, I guess we'll start with the factories, actually, which means I need to go ahead and make an adjustment to our division design. So we'll do that first, and then we'll start with Russia. So what I want to go ahead and do is turn these into 40 width divisions. And somebody asked me why I was even bothering going with 40 width, since we can't even cover our entire front. So why are we doing that rather than just sticking with the 20 widths? Well, we can cover the entire front now. I think we should have, obviously, they still have to make adjustments, and all these new divisions need to go to the lines and stuff. But I think we have enough to have one division in every province. So as long as you have every province covered, then it's better to have 40 width divisions, because 40 width divisions are better than two 20 width divisions, and they require less manpower and equipment overall because they don't have 10 support companies. It just has the 5. So overall, it's better to have 40 width than 20 width in almost every way, as long as you can have one unit in every province. If you can't do that, then you probably should stick with 20 width. So we are going to go ahead and switch the Vlads and Pellers over to 40 width. Rather than creating a new division design and slowly changing them over. We're not at war right now. I know this is going to be kind of expensive manpower-wise. We're not going to have all the equipment to do it, but that's okay, guys. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way. Just go and switch these guys up. We'll remove that one. Let's go and switch these all over to motorized here. And we'll have to probably get another line of motorized, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let's get another line. And I don't know if that's right. We'll find out here. I didn't actually think about this before we started. We want light self-propelled artillery. So we need 4 of these. I think we'll still have room for... Nope, we have no more room. Okay, so that's 40 width right here. Organization's at 30. Yeah, I like this. This will work. And you can see our stats are going up in pretty much every category. Organization, I think, it's a fraction lower, but it's not too bad. As far as the manpower it's going to require, I think we have like 10 tank divisions if you count this one. I don't know if it says we have 10 here, or 9, excuse me. And I don't know if that counts that one, and so it's 10, or if we have 8 out there and that's 9. But essentially it's about, if it is 10 divisions, then of course, then it's going to cost us, 73,000 total manpower to do this, but that's okay. We'll use that. That's fine. Let's go ahead and save this. And I know that manpower is going to become an issue, guys. I mean, it's always going to be an issue. It is what it is. So I wanted to do that first so that we can let it play for just a second, so I can see how we're looking on resources and what we need to change everything up to. So we pulled a lot of factories from support equipment. That's why I have all these extras here. We had 10 factories going towards support equipment. That's way more than necessary. In fact, we could probably change down to 5 here now. Are we short on anything else? Just take a look. Okay, just the motorized and the light tanks. Light self-propelled artillery is not too shabby. So let's go ahead and go up to 25, I think, here for the light tanks. And then maybe go up to 10 for the motorized. Let me see how that looks. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, so we're going to have to change up our equipment as well. So let's go ahead and... our resources that we're trading for, not equipment. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just trade with the Russians for the 80 resources. Now, the main reason why I'm doing this is because I don't have plans to annex Russia. So if they get a little bit of autonomy, that's fine. And also we're going to do something that's going to reduce that autonomy. So I think we don't need to trade for any of these now. I might be wrong, though. I guess we'll take a look here and see how it looks. It looks like we didn't quite get enough here, but we could go and get more, but I don't want to trade for full 80 from them because... that'll tick up their autonomy even higher. So we'll just do this there. And then with the rubber, we need to find some from somebody. Just kind of unfortunate. We just don't have anybody to trade with right now. So we're going to have to trade for, yeah, that's all we can do. Make sure we get that rubber. And we actually have unfulfilled import request from that. Okay, so yeah, that's right. We're not going to get anything from them. So that doesn't work. Huh. All right, let's try Germany. I know I don't really want to trade with future enemies here, but it's what we have to do. And we can get the Chief of Navy now. Let's go ahead and do that so that we have this knocked out. Just so we don't have to worry about it anymore. We already decided probably convoy rating efficiency would be best since our Navy is entirely composed of submarines. And I want to say, yeah, that's it there. So now we can go in and work on increasing their, or just kind of, basically offsetting that autonomy increase that they're getting from us trading for the resources. And the other advantage to giving them some equipment is that they can build more troops with all that manpower they have. They got a lot of manpower. So I'm just seeing what we all want to give. I know we want to give infantry equipment. I'm probably just going to do a one-time shot here, rather than like a monthly that I have to be concerned about. And you know what? We're going to just do 11,000. We have like 10,000 something. And so, you know, once they get all of it, then they won't, you know, be able to get any more, because that's all we have of that. So we'll give them all that old infantry equipment we have. Let's go and give them some support equipment as well. I'm thinking like maybe 1,000 support equipment. And then see what else we can give them. Probably some artillery. Just see what we have a lot of. Seeing, and remember, we have to give them our equipment if we want to bring down autonomy. If you gave them like equipment from other countries, then that would result in, you know what? We don't really have a whole abundance of artillery here, do we? Oh, that closed it. God damn it. That's frustrating. We have a little bit. Damn. Yeah, I wish I hadn't closed that. I thought it would stay open for some reason. Let's do that again. So support equipment, doing 1,000. This infantry equipment, yeah, it's 10,600 something, so 11,000, we'll get rid of it all. And let's go ahead and also do some guns. Let's see, I'm probably just going to do the level 1s here. We'll give them all of that. I'll just do 400 here. All right, let's go ahead and send that, and I'll let them build some stuff, build some units with all that manpower that they got. And I think that's it, all that I want to do. All right, hopefully. So, of course, they accepted. So one person noted that we don't have to bring the Russians into the war, so therefore if we did that, we wouldn't have to defend this territory here. I don't know what we're going to do just yet. Let's see how our front looks, like how well covered it's looking, because it would be really, really nice to be able to cut them off here, because that'd cut off all the troops along here. We could also cut off here, though, to cut all these guys off in this area. So we do have an option, but it would be really nice to cut them off right there, and then that's even more troops cut off. So we got our national focus completed, our capital ships. We're getting all these Navy ones, even though don't really need them yet. Let's go ahead and go after this one. All right, I don't know if we'll be able to do any invasions. It would be really helpful to be able to like invade the Italians or something like that, but I just don't think it's going to be an option, simply because we're just not going to have the units, I don't think. Extra units. We already can't, you know, we can't cover the front as well as it should be covered. We got these 40 widths, so they're pretty good, so that I think they would be able to handle one German division. I think we'd be better than them. But with the fortifications, I think we should be pretty good. Let's go ahead and get the dockyard assigned. Good God. I guess we'll do more submarines. We'll have so many submarines. So we'll have a nice submarine fleet for taking out any Axis convoys. I imagine the Allies are probably already being pretty effective in that. But yeah, just showing you guys the front so far. It does look like every province is covered right now. Yeah, I think that's the case. I think we're good. We even have a couple provinces that have 2 divisions. So we're good with having every province covered, and we definitely want that at the very least. And we're going to have to pull all those divisions out, by the way, to train those, aren't we? So yeah, we're going to take out any that need training. Some of these might not. They might have the experience to not need it. Let's go and put these guys back in. Clearly, I pulled those guys out too soon. They were not ready to be pulled out. And I did notice that we also have 2 of the Bulgarian divisions done training. So let's throw them over to this front, because this is the only one that doesn't have every province covered. It might be a little bit too wide for the Bulgarian divisions. We might have to decrease it a little bit, because the Yellow Army has some spare divisions. So that's right. Let's go through all this real quick and get these tanks trained up, and then I'll do what I was gonna do. And yeah, we'll get this guy trained up too. And that looks solid. These guys need to train, so let's go and let them train. We won't move them to the training army. And then we have civilian factories freed up. So let's just take a look and see how our fort line looks as of right now. So we're all level 2 all the way across, with the exception of, you know, right there, that's level 6. And I went up to here because, and we might go a little bit further, like up to Kiev is what I'm thinking. And we always have this fallback line where we could go down this way if we start losing here. But the plan is to not lose there, so hopefully that works. That plan works out. But yeah, what I'm thinking is like, you know what, let's do it like this. I think that looks good. And that'll probably be it for fortifications for now. Let's go ahead and see if there's any other infrastructure increases that we could do that would result in us getting some resources that are needed. I don't think we need aluminum. I'm pretty much good on aluminum. We can go and get the steel there. Anywhere we can get steel, we will. Just we need it, and I don't want to have to trade too much with the Russians if we can avoid it. We could also, you know, build up our oil supplies too if we wanted to. All right, that looks good. We could also build in Russian territory on these really high steel locations, and that'll also tick down their autonomy and give us more steel, to trade with them. So we'll do that. Let me see if there's any other steel locations that are pretty high. Yeah, there's this one. I'm gonna build that up to the top. And this has the advantage also of, you know, they'll have more supply in a lot of these regions. Yeah, those tick their autonomy down quite a bit. So we'll do that so we don't have to worry about, you know, when they go to war, them rebelling. We need to build in Bulgarian territory too, don't we? We have not completed, gotten them down to the autonomy we need them to be. So we're building, I guess we can build some naval bases. It doesn't really matter what we get. We're just trying to get some stuff done here. Can we build any more factories? We can. So we'll build another military factory. And yeah, they can't get the radar. Could always do the air base. Again, really, none of this is actually needed. This is just about ticking their autonomy down. Unfulfilled import request. So we're not getting the rubber from the Italians. All right, well, there's nothing to be done about it. There's no other. That's as good as it gets, guys. And of course, our manpower is down to 142. And then the rest of that I am going to use for our... maybe we should go ahead and deploy these guys now. I think we're going to go ahead and just deploy all these. And put them into the train army. Doesn't really matter where we deploy them. It's just going to get them deployed now. We're going to be using any remaining manpower that we want to actually spend. Oh, we can actually get more airborne. How many do we have right now? I think we have 3. Let's get 1 more for right now. And let's go and deploy this one guy here. All right, so let's go and get all these guys put in the training army. But we're going to use any remaining manpower for the medium divisions. So these guys are done. Let's go and get them thrown onto a front. On the blue front here. And there are tanks that still need to be trained. Okay. Let's go and see if there's any other ones. Yeah, I think all the tanks will have to be trained. I was hoping some of them would have enough experience to offset the changes we made, but nah. It was I mean, we were doubling their size almost, so it's gonna kind of deplete all of their manpower. We are stacked in Navy experience, but nothing to do with it. The Philippines has capitulated, so the Japanese had to defeat them. Look at this, man. Japan is doing incredibly well in this playthrough. Trying to earn back the reputation after that last Dutch campaign when they were defeated so quickly by the United States. Look at this. The Germans have been successful in an invasion of Ireland, and they just capitulated, and they'll probably be able to get North Ireland here. I'm surprised. Yeah, the Axis are doing really, really well. Why would you guys want to join the Allies? Because some people are still standing by that we should join the Allies. Or we should fight the Allies, excuse me. I mean, look at Britain's already almost defeated. It would just be the United States. And then fighting in Africa, man. Clearly, Axis is the enemy for us, man. So we did get the new light tanks, so we're going to go ahead and, or excuse me, new medium tanks. So we're going to start building those, even though there is a newer model here. We're going to go ahead and start building them just because I want to get these units out here. So let's go ahead and start with these medium tanks. And I won't use our army experience either. We'll use that for the newer ones that we're researching now. So let's go and put these guys up here on the top. Let me see how we're doing on equipment. I'm sure motorized is probably doing okay now. Yeah, motorized is all right, so we can probably pull back on the motorized. And yeah, I think we'll just pull back from a lot of this here that we don't need as much of. And go ahead and put it towards those medium tanks. So like, try and get 10 there. You know what, we're even gonna pull from the light tanks a bit. Yeah, I think that looks good for right now. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so get those medium tanks started to build, and we can go ahead and design the medium tank division. Why not? Let's use our experience to go ahead and do that now. We're going to want to take the Vlads and Pellers and then duplicate them. We're going to need a name for these. For right now, we'll just call them medium. Oh, damn, I got to turn the WASD keys back on. We'll just call them medium armor for right now. But obviously, that is not a good name, so we're going to need a better one. Let's go ahead and get these light tanks changed over to medium tanks. I want to do it all the way across here. And then, oh yes, we want to change the motorized over to mechanized, but damn, I don't have the newer ones. All right, we're just going to have to get these ones then. That's fine. Yeah, because I want mechanized for the medium tanks. Increase the overall hardness of the divisions. And they have better combat stats as well. They do slow it down a bit though, but they slow down the 1943 medium tanks quite a bit. And then we want to get the medium armor here. So I'm almost thinking we'll just leave this as is, and then we can just change them to the medium armor once we get them. I think that's fine. Is there any adjustments we want to make here? No, I think we're pretty much good. Yeah, we're pretty much good. I want to get some tank destroyers here as well, so we'll be changing those up. Let me just see how this looks. We have a 30 organization here. All right, we'll keep this as is for now, and then we're going to make some improvements to it later. But right now, that'll work. That'll let us train them and start getting a few of these guys trained up. And then we're going to want to have, I don't know, quite a few. I'm thinking like 5 divisions. I know that uses all our manpower guys. We're not going to war for some time, though, so I think we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll be fine. And then let's go and get all these troops here deployed. And we will probably have to change our manpower laws as well. There's really no way around it. We'll have to go, yeah, we're going to have to go to the service by requirement at this point. So we'll do that before the war starts, because there's no way to not change over to it. So in that case, since we know we're going to be changing that up, let's go ahead and go to 10 divisions here. And I know that takes our manpower down to nothing, but that's okay. We'll change once we get enough political power to make it happen. All right, so these guys are done. Let's put them onto the blue front. And it looks like the tanks here are done as well. Let me see if they got all the manpower. They do. All right, so let's put them into the blue army as well. This blue army front is the one lacking the most. Oh, and yes, we have these tanks here done. I guess we should be deploying where they're at so they don't have to move. All right. We also are lacking equipment. The mechanized, we're not going to build those. I just put them in there because we're going to be building the newest model here that we have researching, and we're going to get done in 39 days. It does restrict the amount that they can train a bit, but it's not a problem. Yeah, you can see that they're training enough. Hopefully 10 medium tanks will be enough to get the job done, guys. I don't know. We'll see. So we did get to expand the Marine Regiment. So I guess we're going to go after modern destroyers next. What is these ones unlock? Oh, we already went this route, so we can't go down that. Okay, that's where the nuclear bomb project was. I went the other way. Okay, I knew that there was a bonus for nuclear research here on our tree, but yeah, I didn't realize it was the other way. I guess we'll have to go for that last Navy one. What is this one again? Oh, that's for building nuclear reactors. Okay, so yeah, we'll just go for the modern destroyers. Eventually, I'm going to research. I don't know, man. Really, it's completely unnecessary. I'm just going to stop those guys from training. We just don't really need a Navy, guys. It's unnecessary. Put them into the Red Army. And I want to make sure that Yellow Army gets 1 tank unit, so I think they have one here, so we'll just leave those guys there. And where are these guys at? Are they both on this front? Yeah, let's go and put them on the blue front. Blue front's up to 20 divisions now. Remember, we're trying to get each of these armies up to 24 with an additional army, and that'll probably be the medium tank army that we use for pushing forward. So like, obviously this would be a priority, trying to, wherever we end up cutting off here, whether it's here by pulling the Russians in, or here if we decide not to pull the Russians in, to get all these troops here cut off. So that's what we'd use. I don't know though, man. I don't know how supply's gonna look over there if we throw a bunch of medium tanks in that area. So let's go ahead and go with, we're trying to get a lot of stuff built. Let's go and get the construction speed. Trying to get all these things built here as quickly as we can. Right now we're working on infrastructure across our territory and the Russian territory. Then we'll build in Bulgaria a bit. I would really like to annex them if we can. That'd be nice. Can we change our conscription laws up? Oh, we can't change so we're not at war. All right, so we have to actually wait until we go to war. I didn't realize that. All right. Well, that's unfortunate. We might need to delete a division then, in that case. I was thinking I'd be able to change it. We'll have to wait until... Yeah, that's kind of one of the unfortunate parts about being not aligned or democratic, as you can't change your manpower laws. Yeah, so we'll have to wait until we are at conflict with them. As far as how much manpower we still need for all of our units, I don't actually know, man. Now, we can change that immediately, and we'll make sure we have the political power stacked up. You know what? I think we're just going to... Let me see how they look. They're short a bit of manpower, some of these medium tanks. You know what? I'm just going to leave it as is, guys. It's fine. The manpower is always going to be ticking up slowly, so I'm not too worried about it. So let's go put those guys in here. And where are the rest of these tanks? Okay, that guy's on that line. These guys are on this line. Okay, so let me see. Did we ever put a... We did not. So let's put those guys on there. Just trying to make sure the Yellow Army had 1 tank unit. I mean, it's not much, but... And then the last one here is on the blue front. Okay. So up to 22 divisions for Blue Army, 21 for Red. Yellow Army is full 24. And we have a total of 4 divisions left, so we need 5 divisions to have them both completely filled out. And Liberia has already capitulated. It does seem like, well, let me take that back. I was gonna say, it did seem like the Axis kind of winning in Africa. But nah, they're not. They're starting to get pushed back now. It's about time. Not really any successful invasions. They launch one here and there, and then they just get pushed back. You see Italy. Oh, we're no longer getting the fascist influence. Awesome. They were able to get it up to 45% because I wasn't doing those decisions. So now we're at 45, and I believe it should only be ticking up towards non-aligned at this point. So we could always do that decision if we wanted to go ahead and institute press censorship now. So let's go ahead and do that. And try and get our support as high as possible in time for the war so that our stability will be as high as possible. Again, I did say that this is going to be likely a full episode of us just preparing. I got a little bit of manpower there, but yeah, it throws right back into our armies. Getting that non-core manpower now has got to be super useful, man, since almost all of our country is non-core. We do get the mechanized equipment too, so what do we want to get next? So we are in 1943, so might as well go and start working towards 1943 techs then. Let me just see what the best option would be here. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. Let's go and start up here. We'll get the infantry anti-tanks first, and then we'll get the night one. Get all those crucial 1943 tanks. And did we finish researching the mechanized? Yeah, we did. So we need to go ahead. That's what we had just gotten. So we need to go ahead and build those now. Mechanized 2. That'll get rid of that one alert as well. Just put these under motorized. And then let's take a look and see what we could pull from. See what we have excess of. Artillery. A lot of excess artillery, so we can go ahead and pull from that. Probably pull from motorized as well. Alright, so let's just go through here. Infantry equipment. We're trying to update a lot of this infantry equipment. The artillery, yeah, we are stacked on this, so we can go and pull that back quite a bit. How much did we have? Let me just double check here. Oh yeah, we were really stacked. Okay, so we can pull this back a lot. And then that'll give us a lot of factories to pump towards the mechanized. Let's go like so. I think that looks pretty solid, guys. Yeah, that looks good. Again, we're going to save our army experience for that new medium tank model that we're getting, 64 days away. That's also when we're going to get the medium self-propelled and probably medium tank destroyers as well to take out those the heavy tanks that the Germans are probably using, though probably don't have much. And then they're also got to be short on oil. Yeah, it's pretty much just infantry that we see along our line right now. Yeah, just infantry divisions, and it's only one division in each province too. I mean, a couple places, I guess along this front, you can see that they're a little bit more stacked. But overall, yeah, I just don't think they're gonna be that much of a problem. I don't think they'll be able to push forward. And I don't think their heavy tanks are gonna be a problem because I don't see any along this front. They have so much other like fronts that they need to manage right now. I wonder if the Allies would be willing to let us join their faction right now. Probably not. Yeah. Unfortunately not, and that's because, well, we've already generated too much world tension, so we're getting negative 1,000. So that's kind of a big deal. They don't want us to join. But I assume if we go to war with the Axis, they might be more willing. I guess we'll see. We don't necessarily have to. Oh, Russia's already at a point where we could reduce their autonomy. And you know what? I don't want to annex them, but I would be okay with reducing their autonomy. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. We'll reduce them down to integrated puppet, but we won't go any further at that point. Yeah, and that puts them at 918, and then that allows the annex, but we won't annex them. So that just gives us more bonuses overall. As far as like, let me just take a look at our resource situation. God damn, it's just getting worse and worse, guys. But the rubber, we need to solve that problem, man. I need to start researching that, but I've just been so slow about doing it. We should really prioritize it. So we just got a ton of military factories from, I'm guessing that's from the Russians because of the lower autonomy level that they have now. So now we have more access to more of their factories, which means they're going to rely on us for even more equipment, more than likely. Let's go and get all these assigned. We really want to build out the medium tanks, so we need to stack towards that right now. Yeah, so mechanized and medium tanks is where these factories are all going to go. It's going to put them towards all these goodies here. Light tanks, we could build another one, sure, why not? Just to get that finished up. And I guess we'll just keep going higher on these, man. Alright, so that does require like a ton more resources. Let's go and trade with the Russians for more. And still short. Okay. Short 43, good God. Alright, this is what we'll do. I'll have to go there and then stop trading with the Swedes. And that's going to tick up autonomy by a lot, man. So that could be a problem. We'll have to keep building there and making sure that they're kind of low. So the tungsten is short as well. Okay, well, we can actually build to improve the tungsten situation. So we'll do that. But for now, let's just trade with the Americans until we get the situation fixed. And we're even more shorter on rubber. Let's trade with Brazil for a bit more. And yeah, it sucks. We're just giving factories away for like nothing. We might just have to be short on rubber until I do something about this. Yeah, alright. Well, it is what it is, guys. Nothing to be really done about it until we get those techs. Oh, yes, and we need to build real quick. Let's go in and get this done. Naval bomber models or submarine models? Let's do the submarine models. We have a lot of submarines out there. Maybe we'll eventually research the next ones. So what was I going to do? Yes, we're going to build for tungsten locations. Since we are now short on tungsten, we weren't before, so I wasn't really like looking for tungsten provinces. I'm looking for ones that have a good chunk of tungsten. That's why I didn't build in that one there. It's only 10. Might be our best option though. I'm not really seeing any excess tungsten. Oh, here we go. There's one right there. 8 there. Yeah, that's not a lot, man. It does not get you much of a surplus. All right, well, looks like we got to do the 10. I'm not seeing any other locations that we haven't already built in. Yeah, that's only going to get us 6 more tungsten, so not much. All right, so we'll have to build in the 8 as well here in Turkey. Where the hell was that? Oh, it wasn't in Turkey. My bad. That'll give us 4 more, which is, again, not a lot. We just don't have we're lacking certain resources. Lacking them by a lot, unfortunately. Okay, are these guys done training? They are. Excellent. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go ahead and fill these out. Let's take 2 of them. You know, I'm just going to take all of them, put them all into the Red Army. Oh, and it looks like he has, but it doesn't have anything to get. Okay. See if anybody else does. Maybe take a look at our Field Marshal. He does not. Seeing if anybody had any traits that we could give him. All right, so we're on speed 5 here, and you can see that the Germans, yeah, I don't think they have the troop numbers, man. We could also take the troops from the Russians. That'd be an option. We saw they had like 9 divisions. I bet they have a lot more at this point. Yeah, they have 19 divisions. Could also take their divisions, but I'd want them on this front anyway, so we'll wait to do that. And plus, they always seem to take it away whenever we join a faction. You know, when we had Bulgaria's troops, as soon as we joined when we declared war and joined the Allies, and they took all those Bulgarian troops from us, and we had to ask for them again. So, yeah, might as well wait. Though I guess there would be one advantage of taking them soon is to move them all off of this side, because they don't need any divisions over here. Japan's not going to declare war on Russia, right? You'd think they wouldn't. They're too busy with the Allies. We also have unassigned divisions. Oh. Okay, so we're getting some of their divisions. Let's go and put these guys as the medium tank division. We'll go and take them, put them into the training army. And we do have a lot of vehicles going by. So yeah, we'll get those guys trained up. And then yeah, maybe we'll move them over to this front. Though I think we'll move them now, in fact, while I'm thinking about it. And let's just move them right over here. Obviously, strategically redeploy them, because it's going to take them forever to go there otherwise. So we have the newer tank, medium tanks, so let's go ahead and now get medium self-propelled artillery. And then let's go and change these up, and we're going to use our army experience here as well to just get, I don't think we'll be able to do level 2. Oh yeah, we can. All right, so we'll do get them up to level 2. And that's it for right now. We're going to just save that variant there. And I think we do need to close that and then go to the variant. So where the hell are these guys? Here we go. All right. Let's get the better medium tanks out there. It does, again, require more steel. And let's see how much they're ticking up from us trading for resources. So if we looked at them here, so far we have ticked it down by 124. But you can see for them exporting, they're getting 41.6. Oh, good God, that is a lot, guys. Yeah, I don't think we should trade. I don't know if I'll be able to keep them down if we keep trading for stuff. So let's just trade for right now. We'll trade for steel with the United States. We didn't need to give them 2 factories worth, but eventually we will have more military factories. I think I'll start building up some more military factories soon. I wanted to get all these fortifications built first and build in the lands of our puppets and stuff. We actually have some openings here with the civilian factories that just freed up. So let me just take a look here. If there's anything else we really want to build in their lands for, you know, like right there, just to get them the resources they need. And I think that's probably, well, there's one right there that I missed. I'm going to build the infrastructure up right there. And I think that's good. Let's go and make sure that they are going to get solid supply through this area from their capital too. And this should all hopefully tick it up. And you know what I mean, build there. Tick their economy so that we shouldn't have to worry anymore about it. That's what I'm hoping, even though we're trading for a ton of resources. Hopefully it shouldn't tick it up too high and we'll be able to keep their economy low. Yeah, because the building is helping a lot. But yeah, you can see, look at how much they're exporting. That's why I don't export stuff from puppets, man. It's expensive because it's for every resource and they give you 80. I think, or it's for every 8 resources, I think, actually. We have one more to get and we'll finally have this research slot, you know, free, which we had to devote it entirely towards getting army doctrines for so long. The paratroopers are done training. Let's go and throw them into this army. Do we have any troops left that we could actually deploy? We could go ahead and start deploying these guys now, so they're at least out in training. Let's go ahead and get them all deployed, and I think we're going to just, oops. Set these guys here and just deploy the whole thing, and then they can like train up here. Because they're not going to be getting their equipment anytime soon. It's going to take them a long time to get all that equipment constructed for them. All right, we're actually short on support equipment now. All right, I'm a little surprised with that. I guess that's all those troops that we just built. Let's go ahead and pull back on artillery. I think we are all modernized on that. Still trying to modernize the infantry equipment, so we'll keep plenty going towards that. Don't really need the anti-air and anti-tanks now. We're pretty much good on that. We can even pull from the motorized a bit too. Okay, and yeah, they'll just go towards the mechanized and these medium tanks here. And then we got the atomic research knocked out. Awesome. So we could go and start going towards nuclear reactors. We're going to wait, though. We have too much stuff we need to get, and I absolutely have got to get. I have to start going down the rubber branch here. We need some damn rubber, man. So we'll have to start getting some synthetic rubber constructed, and we need that before the war, so obviously going down that tech tree now would be imperative. We did get construction 5, excellent. Let's go ahead and go after excavation, kind of help with these resource problems that we're having. We have so many resource issues. We can actually pull back on that because of the building that we've been doing. And yeah, there's more rubber here in the UK to get, so we're going to trade for that. Brazil, we're like not getting much here, apparently. No, not getting much from them. Same thing here with Belgium. Okay. Yeah, I think we're only getting 2 from them right now. That is not worth it. Actually, we don't actually need it. So let's pull that back. We got the infantry anti-tank 2s. Let's go and get the night vision now. And Russians are going to continue giving us divisions, and we'll continue getting them trained, but we will move them over to the front as we do it. Where the hell is their front? Let's just move them over to where the tanks are, I guess. I don't remember where I put them. I think I was putting them over here in that victory point. So that's where we'll put them all, I guess, on one of these victory points along here. And he's not taking the railroad. There we go. Let's fix that. All right, we got medium self-propelled artillery 3s, so we can start building those. And now I want to get the medium tank destroyers, guys, so that we can take out their heavy tanks. And that'll make them, you know, easily be able to pierce the heavy tanks with the tank destroyers. Tank destroyers have very good piercing, so we actually need to start building those. So let's go and do that now. Medium self-propelled artillery, right underneath the medium tanks, and we're going to want to change up our division designs to account for this as well. So we could probably pull back on these because I think, you know, let me stop just speculating. Let's take a look at what we can do here. Okay, so we have the light self-propelled artillery. So we want to go over to medium self-propelled artillery. And that's going to free up a ton of light self-propelled artillery, so we stop building those. All right, so that looks good. So let's go ahead and, where are these guys at? Pull back from light self-propelled artillery. We can pull back from light tanks as well. You're all stacked up on all these. And then just pump into these here. Oops, we're already on 5 times. Just pump into them, man. Like 25, 20, I suppose, would work. And we are still needing a lot of mechanized as well, so we'll keep those going there. And that did change up our resource situation. Need a lot more tungsten now and a lot more rubber. Oh lord, man. Trade for what I can, guys, but yeah, there's not much here, and we're giving away factories for just a couple rubber. It's probably not worth it, but whatever. Let's do that. I'm really short 4 rubber now. See if there's anywhere else where I missed as far as tungsten goes. Probably not. Or steel, for that matter, as well. Yeah, not seeing. I mean, there's this one here. What would we get from that? We'd get 2. I guess we can do it. I mean, it's probably not worth it. We'll do it anyways. Let's waste our civilian factories. And I think that's it, man. If I'm missing something, let me know in the comments. But I think that's it when it comes to steel and tungsten. I mean, there's the 4 there. But again, we can't really... I already built in a 4 location. You really can't justify building that up. But we'll do it. Whatever. It gets us 2. You know what we should look? We should be, instead of just going all the way up the top, I should look to see what we have to build to get the 2. Yeah, there we go. Let's not build any higher than necessary. Let's go and get the torpedo bombers next. All right. So, yeah, still really short on rubber. But hopefully we get that tech soon, then it'll improve the situation. We've got all these medium tank divisions trained up here. We have almost got the entire armies filled out. The blue army just short on 2 divisions, and that's it. And one of those will be this light tank division's gonna be going there, and we'll go and put them in there now. And here we go. Only need 1 more there, and then our 4th army, I guess 5th if you count the Bulgarians, is going to be a solely medium tank armor division, as I said before, that we're going to be using to, you know, in areas where we want to break through, push into their territory. So, you know, whether we do it here or here, but I'm starting to see a lot more troops in some areas. The Germans are starting to pump more divisions out. So we got a medium tank destroyers 3, so we're going to need to build those next, and we are in fact done with the tanks. Awesome. So that's going to free that up for us, so we can start getting these here. Let me see if there's anything else we need to get, though. Yeah, we could get more better radar, but you know what? Let's go and start with the artillery. We'll get the passive bonus here first. You know what? Actually, that's stupid. If we have to build the equipment, and we're going to war, and that doesn't help us now, then yeah, let's get these ones first. Well, let's do anti-tank first, and then we'll do the anti-air, and then we'll do artillery last. And because we're not at war. And of course, it's the rubber that's causing us problems, man. Yeah, India doesn't have any now. And yeah, there's just nowhere to get the damn rubber from. It's unfortunate. I mean, we're getting it. We're at 0 right now. So we have the rubber. So it's not affecting our production as we try and get these medium tank divisions built up. I don't want it affecting it. I mean, I guess we don't really need. Let me just take a look here. We could always pull from the light tanks. You know what? Let's go and pull from the light tanks. And we pull from there as well. So just try and help with this rubber situation, man. Let's go and get the medium tank destroyers. And we got all these freed up factories for them. All right, lovely. Of course, that requires tungsten too, though. Let's go and tick these down further then. All right, so that looks all right. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to do trade-wise. We're going to trade with the United States for more. Could go ahead and trade with them. You're only getting 32, though. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. And let's take a look at how... We'll finish doing this first. We'll take a look and see how autonomy's looking. We have been building a lot in their land, so we should have ticked it down some. But yeah, 122 coming from resources. So once we stop building in their land, their autonomy is going to tick up so quick. We might have to stop trading for as much steel from them, just so we don't have to worry about them going free. I guess they wouldn't go free. They would, you know, go to the next stage, which would make them a puppet, and that would lose all those factories from that, though. So would it be good? All right, so we're going to play a couple more minutes, guys, and then we're going to be ending it here. Well, actually, I forgot that we're going... Let's finish the month. I forgot we're going to talk about the medium tanks and heavy tank comparison. So let's get to November. That's the goal here. We'll get to November, and then we'll end the episode. But yeah, the lines are looking pretty good, guys. Yeah, this is not bad. I feel like confident that we should do all right. So we did get fuel storage done, so now we can go to synthetic oil experiments. All right, and probably having more rubber problems. Yeah, more rubber issues, unfortunately. And they have less. France has a bit more to give us. We'll take that. Still short on 6 here. I don't think we're going to trade for any more though, guys. It's fine. We'll just have to be short. It'll affect the planes, basically. We have to get our planes out there. And you know what? We should get them out there to train. I'll do that in between episodes so you guys don't have to sit through me building a bunch of air wings and setting them to train. So we'll do that before I record the next episode. We did get another one of these troops down there, a couple of them actually. Let's go and get them all training, and let's move them. You know what we should probably do is just set these to there so I don't have to keep moving them. Set them to be in their own training army here, and we'll make them like a red training army so I know that they're Russian. And I think that's green would in fact be more accurate for Imperial Russia here. You can always make them like a dark green. It doesn't really look like Russian green, but it's fine. It's close enough. All right, so let those guys train there, and then we'll set their garrison area here so I don't have to keep on moving them. And just have them guard the victory point. All right, so they all head on over to there, and we don't have to keep messing with them. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the episode, but we are going to go ahead and talk about the differences between medium and heavy tanks and why heavy tanks suck, why I don't build them, and why you shouldn't build them either. I mean, you can build them for roleplay, you can build them if you really, really want to, I guess. I mean, but they're not a good choice. So when comparing medium tanks to heavy tanks, you have the obvious advantages of the medium tanks that should be mentioned first. The fact that they require less supply, the fact that they are faster, a lot faster, and then they require less oil. So those are all benefits that you'd expect of a smaller tank that doesn't have quite as good of stats, but should be considered that those are benefits of the medium tanks. So then you start looking at the actual stats of the medium and the heavy tanks. And you need to compare them to production costs, because obviously heavy tanks are superior, sort of. Maybe there's a little thing I have to add here. They're superior on flat ground. If you're just attacking to the Plains province here, heavy tanks are going to be superior in stats, as you'd expect. But you need to be comparing them based on their actual production costs, and that's what we're going to do here. And before we do that, I should mention that while the heavy tanks have superior stats, if you look at the terrain penalties they get higher terrain penalties in every sort of terrain than the medium tanks do, by anywhere from 10 to 30%. So some of them have like a 30% higher penalty, because remember, medium tanks do get a penalty in many terrains as well. But heavy tanks in some terrains, like marshes, get like a 30% higher terrain penalty than the medium tanks do. So basically, their stats are worse. Their stats are worse in these terrains, any kind of rougher terrain, mountains. I don't know if the urban one they're actually technically worse. They are worse. They do have a terrain modifier, but I don't think it makes them worse. But I know they're worse fighting in mountains for sure, definitely in marshes, and I want to say maybe hills too. They might be worse, and that's their stats. So you're paying a higher production cost, and you're getting worse stats in the majority of the provinces in the world. I know that plains are obviously, there's a lot of plains provinces. But I would say that probably over 50% of the provinces in the world are not plains. And that is the only place that the heavy tanks are like definitively superior to the medium tanks. In other terrains like forests, they're still slightly better, but it's not by much, guys. Now let's look at production cost and what you are paying to get those shitty heavy tanks that are slower, require more supply, require more oil, and barely have better stats on most terrain types. They only are better, really better, like, worth it in a way in plains. And so what are you paying for that? Well, the production cost for heavy tanks is extraordinarily high. If you look at the fact that heavy tanks, have less overall tanks in each division. I think they have 40 tanks, while the medium armor has 50. So that's a 20% increase. The medium tank divisions require 20% more tanks than the heavy tanks do. So because you require less tanks, you can't be accurate if you're comparing the medium tank production cost, the individual, equipment, to the heavy tanks equipment cost, because, obviously they require less tanks. So you have to consider the cost of the division if you want to be accurate, if you want to be fair to the heavy tanks. You got to require the actual production cost of the full, I didn't mean division, the full battalion of heavy tanks. So when you look at that cost, it's at the level 1 heavy and medium tanks, it is like 66, a little over, almost 67% higher for the heavy tanks, their production cost for the battalion. And it gets worse as you go to level 3. Level 3 medium tanks compared to level 3 heavy tanks. It's, I think, like almost 72%. So it's a slight increase. 72% more production. So if you look at that, if we're just comparing the medium tank 3s to the heavy tank 3s, you're paying 72% more production. So that means that you could build, 1 3/4 of a tank, of a medium tank, for every heavy tank you build. So that, easily offsets the fact that you need less heavy tanks. Easily offsets it. The production cost is so much higher, guys. That is really high. And what are you getting for that? What are the heavy tanks actually good at? So you got to consider, obviously their stats are better, but again, they're not better in most terrain types. We already mentioned some of the other advantages the medium tanks had. So what are you getting from heavy tanks? Well, they're better against forts. It's a small, tiny increase. They're slightly better against fortifications. So there's that advantage. But how often are you fighting against forts? That's the really only circumstance where they actually have much, much better stats, I'd say, is when you're fighting against forts. So you're getting that, a better, fort buster. As far as their piercing, obviously piercing is higher, but that just lets them fight heavy tanks. Heavy tanks fight heavy tanks better. And then the armor. So obviously they have much higher armor. So if you compare like a medium tank division, alone with just the medium tanks and the infantry support against a heavy tank division with infantry support, those medium tanks won't have the penetration to defeat the heavy tanks. So that's imperative to mention that is a significant bonus that the heavy tanks have over the medium tanks. However, if you just throw some damn tank destroyers in your medium tanks, then they easily have the piercing, even with the average, because it is all averaged out, of course, for piercing. It's the average of all the battalions in the division. And the same thing with armor, although armor is slightly different. I think it's 70% of the armor rating for your division is the average of all the battalions. So when you throw motorized in a heavy tank division, you are drastically decreasing their armor, which is why you should use, mechanized for either medium or heavy tank divisions. So you try and keep that armor as high as possible. So the other 30% of the armor rating for a division is the highest armor rating of the division. So having the heavy tanks does result in a much higher armor increase just because of that 30%. And then obviously the average. So they do have higher, but I've never had a problem piercing heavy tank armor as long as you use tank destroyers. You can actually do it anti-tanks. Anti-tanks have high enough piercing that if you add enough anti-tank support in your infantry division designs, which I don't think we do. Let me just double check our infantry, because I think we're not quite using enough in our Iron Guard. Let's just take a look at their piercing. Actually, their piercing probably would penetrate, depending on how many heavy tank battalions they had in there. It might. Heavy tank, armor can get pretty high though, depending on how you design it. So these ones might not be able to pierce a heavy tank, so they'll get a slight penalty or whatever. But if you added a bit more, like if we switched these anti-air out for anti-tank, I think we would have. But yeah, these infantry could maybe, depending on how the heavy tank divisions are designed, they could maybe pierce the heavy tanks. It's not impossible. And then if you looked at those medium tank designs we just built, let's just take a look at those. Now these are not, as high as they're going to be, because obviously we haven't changed up. We haven't given them tank destroyers. So I guess it's not a good rating here. But you can see that 79.8 even without any we have these anti-tanks, even without any tank destroyers or anti-tanks that are regular battalions rather than support companies. And it's already 79.8. So adding those tank destroyers, we would easily be able to penetrate the heavy armor. It's no doubt that we can penetrate them. So you don't get that benefit either. You don't even have the armor benefit if you add tank destroyers. So what are you getting? What do you get from heavy tanks? All you're doing is throwing away massive amounts of production for like nothing, for basically nothing, for slower divisions that eat up more supply, that have good stats in only very specific provinces, forts or plains, very slightly better stats in like a forest or something like that. Overall, many terrain types, the heavy tanks are going to perform much, much, much worse. And the reason for that is their stats aren't that much higher, guys. Look at their stats. Just compare their stats from medium tanks to heavy tanks. I mean, they have like a 27% higher soft attack, like a 17% higher like heart attack, slightly better defense. I think it's like 20% better defense. Their breakthrough, one of the most important stats for an offensive unit, is exactly the same. Exactly the same. No higher breakthrough, guys. When you look at the division, not the equipment. When you look at the specific division, battalion. When you look at the battalion. So you're not really getting much better stats. We're talking about anywhere from 10 to 20% better stats that the heavy tanks have over the medium tanks. And we already talked about the production costs. Heavy tanks are anywhere from 66, 67% to 72% higher cost in production. And that's for the battalions. So you're spending all that extra production to get, maybe 10, 20% better stats in very specific terrain. I don't see how they are worth it. They're an absolute waste of production, guys. They're garbage. They're terrible. They suck in most situations. They're suck worse if you're to use them for, things you probably shouldn't use tanks for anyway, like naval invasions and stuff like that as well. So all of those are lower stats. More supply, more fuel, slower, which I want my armor divisions to be fast. So yeah, I just don't know why you get them. I feel like they're a complete waste of production, and the only reason to get them is because of the role play purposes. It's fun, to have them. And then with the super heavy tanks, it's even worse. The stats get even worse. Super heavy tanks are absolute garbage. They are so bad, and it just gets even worse when you go from heavy tanks. So there's no reason to get them, guys, and that's why I don't. They are absolute garbage. Hope you guys, if you disagree with me on any of this, if you want to, debate about it, I've debated about it many, many times, and I've never had. I've been covering HOI4 on the channel since. Let's see, when did I start? When it came out in 2016. In June 2016 is when I started covering HiJynx 4 on this channel. So I've been covering HOI4 for almost 4 years now on the channel, and I have had so many people debate me on this. Hundreds of people have debated me on this in the comments, and not one has proved me wrong yet. So I'm not saying that you won't be the one. Maybe you've got something that that I don't know, that I'm not considering. I know we got some. If you guys have been down in the comments, you've seen some. We got some pretty intelligent people watching, this series that have been on the channel lately. Actually, with big old long comments that are really just breaking down everything, the statistics and the numbers, and every little factor to be considered. Some people really know this game well. So maybe those will be the people who prove me wrong. That heavy tanks are somehow worth it. But thus far, I've never had anybody put up a valid argument how heavy tanks are worth it, other than just for fun. They're just fun to have because they're big old huge tanks that have higher stats. And as far as roleplay purposes, sure. But as far as gameplay efficiency. No. But again, I'd love to hear your guys' argument. If you disagree with me, post that down in the comments below. We're going to actually be ending this series, ending the episode. We're going to end the series, guys. This is how we're going to leave things. We're going to end the episode here. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and again, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your opinion on anything I talked about today, whether it's the comparison of medium and heavy tanks, or talking about non-aligned compared to democracies, or just suggestions for what to do for the future war. I do read and reply to all comments. Love talking to you guys. So I do hope to see you down there. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.